And we're gonna rub and scrub one knee. So what we're trying to do is put some pressure on the outside of the knee, on the front of the knee, right over top of the kneecap, and just drive some friction into this area. That's going to drive some circulation into that joint, create a little bit more space, and just like warm up the knee. So after I do the first one, go ahead and try a little squat and see if it feels different in the knee that you just rubbed or not. Got to start my claw. Okay, then we'll do the same thing on this side. Let's go up and down. Get right on the edges of the knee. Get right on the front. Get right on the kneecap. You want you to go straight up and down the shin bone. Loosen up some of that skin that's on that shin bone, and then we'll try a squat and see how that feels. You should feel like that feels a little bit better at the knee. Now that we scrub both of them, let's go into the lower back. So you're going to take your knuckles. We're going to rake it up and down the lower back. So I'm trying to get right on that triangle bone here called the sacrum. We're doing the same idea, except we're going to do a little bit of a rake rather than a rub. It's still a rub and scrub. We're just using the pointier spots of your knuckles to get right on those tissues that cross over that bone. And you're going to go left to right across it. Scrub that lower back. Okay, and we're going to go to these knobs right out on the outside of the hips. So you'll feel as you go down the hip, there's going to be these little knobs that poke out a little bit. That's called your greater trochanter. We're going to scrub across that. Okay, and after you've scrubbed that one a good one, you go ahead and try a squat. Should feel like you have a little bit better motion at the hip and at the lower back. So let's go right into the front of the hip now. So right where that tissue crosses, there's this this point here. That's at the point of the triangle at the adductor. We're going to scrub top of that hip flexor. And we're going to work our way down to the front of the groin. And then go ahead and try your squat. And that should feel like you've got a little more space at the front of the hips when we try our little squatting motion. Okay, so let's mobilize the ankle here. So the ankle, responsible for flexing and extending, as well as rotating and everting and inverting of the foot. We're just going to do what I like to call pet the bug. So I'm just reaching forward and touching a little bug out in front of me. So that bug isn't going to run away on me. I'm not going to stand and crush them. I'm just going to reach and just touch them. Okay, same thing on the other side. Pet the bug straight out in front. Okay. Now imagine that the bug went to the other side. We're just going to switch feet. Bug's off to the side. We're just going to reach and touch him over here. Okay, and he's scattered that way. We're going on to the other foot. Reach and touch. So all the while, I want to try to think about spreading the toes out a little bit. Spread your feet out as you reach and touch. Okay, and let's do one where he rotates on us. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go here. We're just going to touch side to side. You do a couple little touches along the way. Mobilizing the foot through rotation. But the best part about this is we're mobilizing the hip of your stance leg also. Okay, let's go to the other side. Boom. Boom. Do a few touches around the corner. Let your body and your arms go with it. And then swim. Great. Mobilize the ankle. Let's go ahead and mobilize the hip now. So we're going to take a little wider stance. Hands on your hips. We're just going to slide them to the side. Slide to the side. So you should feel you get a bit of a stretch in your groin. by driving the pelvis straight to the side. Pelvis straight to the side. So it's important that we mobilize all these structures in 3 different directions and or 3 different planes of motion. So the planes of motion are going forwards and backwards, going side to side, and going through rotation. Okay, let's stagger your stance a little bit. We have 1 foot further forward than the other. I'm just going to rotate the trunk. Rotate the trunk, staggered stance. It gives us some different rotation in the hip. Okay, other foot forward. Rotating at the trunk. Rotating at the hips. The hips rotate with rotation on my front leg and in the opposite direction on my back leg. Okay, and then we're going to go forwards and backwards. So staggered stance, but let's have them a little bit closer together. You're just going to reach your hips back and forward, just like you're hinging your tail back. Back and forth. You feel a little bit of a stretch on the back of the hamstring on your front leg. Nice, slow. Don't have to take it too far. Let's go to the other side now. And 1 more. Very good. And then we're going to do what we call an in and out squat. So that means I'm going to turn my toe over top of my front one. I'm going to squat down. Then I'm going to open them up. I'm going to squat open. So I'm just doing something that's going to create lots of internal rotation on my hips when I cross over. You're not going to be able to squat very far. Structurally, your body won't allow it. That's normal. But what it does is it creates a nice forced, compacted position to stretch the capsule of the hip joint. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Cross over, open up, open, cross over, squat, open up, squat. One more time. Okay, and so now let's just try your regular stance and just squat, and you should feel like you've got a little bit more room in the pelvis and some motion at the foot and the ankle and the knees. Be able to go into a lower level. All right, so now that we've prepped you and mobilized the foot and the ankle, the knee and the hip, now we're going to go ahead and do some strength stuff, some integrated stuff. So we're going to start with some lunges. A lunge by definition is stepping and then returning back to the starting position. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is we're going to do a forward lunge, and we're going to reach your arms forward at the same time. So step forward, reach forward. It's like someone's handing you a sack of apples. Step and reach. Step and reach. And you can explore how far you want to go on these. If you want to step really, really big and reach really, really big, that's a huge challenge to the body. This is your bubble we're exploring. The most important thing is that you're stepping and returning with the same rhythm. Okay, and then as we get doing this and you keep coming every Monday, you're going to explore how to go a little bit further and round out your bubble, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, that's the forward lunge and forward reach. Let's do a side lunge or a lateral reach. And we're going to take that arm overhead. So I'm going to go off to the side, and my opposite side is going to reach over and above my head so that I get a little bit of a lengthening this back side part of my body, this lateral side of my body, I should say. Step and reach. Again, explore your space, explore your bubble. You want to be rhythmical as you come in and out of it. Okay, let's go to the other side now. Did you notice if you moved better on one side than the other? Maybe you moved and it didn't quite feel as sticky on one side. We could address that with some recovery or some massage after this, or add it to some of your daily habits that one side of your body feels a little stickier or needs a little bit better motion on that side. Okay, let's go to our third lunge. This one we're going to step back, step and open. So as I step back and open, we're going to twist your hands and come home. Step, twist your hands, come home. Step, twist your hands, come home. Okay, and I want to take my back foot, let it turn with me. So this trail leg is going to turn as I turn those feet. That's going to take some stress off the lower back and allow your trunk to rotate and really stretch this hip on this side. Okay, let's do the other side now. You step back, turn, pivot your back or your trail leg foot. Two more. And one more time. Good stuff. Okay, let's try a few different squat stances. So we're going to go with a staggered stance for your first one. So I got one foot further forward than the other, and I'm fairly got a kind of like a 1.5 distance. I'm not completely full yet, but about halfway. I'm going to keep my heel off the ground. All we're going to have you do is you're going to go vertical towards the ground. Reach your hands forward just like someone's handing you that sack of apples again. Okay. Just like someone's handing you that sack of apples. Okay, and explore how high, how deep you want to go. It might just be here. Right? If you want to try and get all the way down where your knee comes down towards the ground, that's cool too. Okay, let's do it with the other foot forward. Same drill. Reach and grab that sack of apples. Okay, one more. There we go. Let's switch now to a wide stance. So it's kind of like wide, like a sumo wrestler. Put your foot in the ground. Boom. We're ready into this stance here. We're going to go into a squat, but we're going to reach one arm at a time, coming off your hip, reaching forward. Stand as tall as you can at the top of your squat. Sink as low as you feel comfortable. All right. Wiggle them out. Next one we're going to do is called a shank squat. Some people call this a reverse lunge, where we're stepping back. Okay, so you're going to step back, reach your hand across your body. That's going to put a big stretch on that glute. So I reach back. Keep most of the weight on your front leg. That's why it feels more like a squat than a lunge. So I'm just reaching, barely touching my back foot into the ground. Reach across. You start turning your palm up. We're really going to stretch from the shoulder and get maximum length on that glute. Okay, let's go to the other side. Step and reach. Big stretch on that hip. Nice and smooth. Okay. Let's finish just with a little march. And when I say stop, we're going to get into a single leg balance. Standing on one leg, balancing on the other leg. March to stop. Stop. Try to follow me at the same tempo as me. Stop. Stop. So we're now integrating, contacting the ground. Stop. With a little bit of balance. Stop. Stop. And one more time. Boom. And great. Okay. That was our strength component. Hope you enjoyed that one. Let's do a little bit of recovery. So just calm the nervous system a little bit, lengthen us out, get back to normal. That's the whole idea of recovery after exercise, is just to normalize. Okay, so the first one we'll do is a little hamstring stretch. Take your front foot, throw a foot out in front, toes pointed up, long through the spine, wide through the shoulders, and just reach your hips back. Long, slow, deep breaths. Stand up, other side. Throw that forward, toes pointed up, long through the spine, wide through the shoulders, reach those hips back. Nice, easy hamstring stretch. Okay, let's go to the adductor. This was similar to the exercise that we did where we were doing a little bit of a stretch and mobilizer, but we're going to take it over here and we're going to hold it here. So I'm going to put some of my weight on my lead leg, get a stretch into this back leg. We're just going to hold that position, take a breath. It's easier for put your hands on your thigh, just like that. Go ahead and do that. Okay, let's do the other side. Come up to the middle. We're going to go into a hip flexor stretch. So I'm going to stay long. I'm going to stay up with my heel up off the ground. Let yourself sink a little bit. Take your arms, reach them up to the sky. Feel a nice stretch in through the top of the hip. If you want to extend that stretch even further, take your chin to the sky. Okay, let's slowly walk out of that. Same side, or pardon me, switch sides. Heel off the ground. Get a little bit of a stretch in that hip flexor. Take your arms overhead. Chin up. Very good. A little slow walk out of that. IT band TFL. So this one's a little trickier. You're going to take one foot further forward than the other, push your hands to your hips, reach that one up to the sky. So I'm trying to take my pelvis this way, but my arm vertical. You'll feel stretch on the outside of the hip here. Slowly come out of that. Do it one more time. I found that this is a tissue for me that doesn't like to be held for a long period of time. Maybe it's my previous back injuries that I've had, but I find that stretching that lateral line, it's really uncomfortable for me. So I like to shorten the duration of each one of those stretches. So I came out of that so quick. I tend to have more space in this side than I do the other side. So my daily habit needs to be spend a little more time, Johnny, Loosening your right. Getting some more space on that right side of that IT band. Create some extensibility there. Okay. All right. These next ones, we're going to go into a half kneeling stance. So if you have a pillow around or you're okay going to the ground, I'm just going to pull a mat out here. What we're going to do is we're going to go into a half kneeling stance. So I got one knee on the ground. I'm just going to put my hip and quad on a bit of a stretch here. Not a big one, just a little one. Go ahead and turn my shoulders. So I'm kind of putting my hand on the outside of my knee. Nice little stretch. I'll just add a little bit of a tiny elastic bounce to it. Okay. Switch to the other side. Little rotation. Grab onto the outside of my leg. Just a slow little wiggle here. Okay. If you're familiar with the pigeon, we're just going to take one knee across the midline of your body. It's a little bit bigger than what your typical pigeon is. Point your toe up your shin. Just reach forward for me. You feel another nice little stretch in the outside of the lower back. And then we switch sides. Also, this is one that you don't really need to hold for a long period of time. Curl my fingers forward so I get a bit more length. Swing out of that, both knees on the ground. Just crawl your fingers forward and just let your spine get long as your head falls between your arms. You do a little child's pose. Deep breaths. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed that little I guess we call them 3 different movement snacks. Start with mobility, a little bit of integrated body weight strength training, and then finish with some restorative poses and recovery.
Thanks, Johnny. So everybody, if you have any questions, for sure drop them in the chat. I see we've got Ronald, Rachel, Marissa, and Karen in studio, and then we've got about 40 some people joined us on YouTube today and have started dropping some questions in there. So that's kind of cool too. So if you have any questions, drop them in there. I'll start with this one from YouTube. A couple people dropped this, John. And this is common, I think, for people who first try and move along with 7 movements. Is they're kind of both questions are relating to, I don't look exactly like you, John, and I'm feeling a little uncoordinated in these movements. So what should I do? Is that normal?
The first thing that challenges us is you want to try and stick to your own bubble. So if you watch me as the coach take you through these movements with 7 movements, all you need to do is just follow in the direction. So the direction, the distance, and the depth that you feel most comfortable going in, but just follow along with about the same rhythm and timing that the coach is going through. So that's the most important thing. So for example, if we do the lunge and reach exercise where I'm stepping forward and reaching, your lunge could be, maybe just a 5 or 6 inch distance, but you're doing it at the same tempo as me. Now, here's what's crazy is when I step bigger, my tempo didn't change. I just went a little bit bigger, which meant the force that my body is going through is going to be greater. So you don't have to match me, just match my rhythm and timing. Okay, so the rhythm and timing. Now, the second part to it is if you're new to this format or new to group exercise in general, sometimes it takes a little bit to figure out, where's this guy moving and what's he doing or her? So what we have to do is we have to just, look at the global picture here first. Globally, what is he doing? He's just stepping and kind of reaching at the same time. That's why I use kind of simple cues. It's just step and reach. Don't really think about what muscles are involved in any of this. It's just follow along and try to match and mirror as though we're playing a mirror game. That's really what we want you to think about. Because what will happen is by doing that and you seeing somebody do this, and then you match their rhythm and timing and how they organize the motion, then what you're doing is invariably creating better motor skills over time. So as you keep doing it and keep refreshing this and we move in a different direction or a different spot, just play the mirror game. And then what will happen is your body will self-organize these motor skills and start to put them together. And you'll start to, the more you come, the more you'll start to see how they all connect. And so I'm taking you through essentially what we call applied functional science. We're taking how does the body move in time and space, and how do we organize those movements with different parts of the body together? And then what happens is when we add a squat with a reach or a lunge with a reach in different directions, the body organizes it really efficiently. And that's what we're doing with 7 movements, is trying to improve your motor skills and improve your how your body functions by incorporating good rhythm and timing, coordination, and symmetry. And so those are kind of our rules. And then once we have really good established motor skill repertoire or an inventory of movement skill, then now we start to look at things like how do we load the body? How do I load you through all these different planes of motion, whether I'm using a different device like a Viper Pro or a dumbbell or a Sandbell or a Liebert equalizer bar. Those are different ways in which we move an object through time and space that makes us efficient and economical. And that's how our body will start to organize itself and be healthy, is when we can have a good motor skill system.
Awesome. Awesome. You like this question, John. So this is coming from Susie on YouTube, who is 86, and she subscribed to our YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. And she is just asking you, because she is doing our exercises with a walker.
Yep.
What are some considerations she should take in place? She couldn't go down to the ground, for example, when you did
great.
the healing thing. So is there anything she could do that would, when we do stuff on the ground?
Yeah, great question. So what you could do is try to mimic the positioning of the body as a whole. So if I had my chair in front of me, I'll pull this one up here for you, Susie. So if I got my chair in front of me and I was down on my knee, what we could do is we could kind of lean in here, drop your knee, and then just turn your body. And so we want to make sure that you feel nice and stable and strong first and foremost, and then just try to replicate the movements as best as you can. It might just be getting into this position and rotating. Remember, we're just trying to restore how the body feels after some exercise. So it's not so much that you're doing or how you're doing these exercises or movements, it's that you're doing these movements and positioning the body relative to gravity in a unique way. And when you do that, then the body will start to self-organize, as I mentioned before. It will start to realize, like, yeah, this is a pretty good recovery position right here. We see it in sports all the time, don't we? Right? Leaning on the boards in hockey or leaning over and having to catch your breath. This is the international recovery position, right? So when you're really tired or exhausted, the hands are on the knees and we just drop down into that position. So we can use your walker in a variety of different ways to get you into that recovery position. Child's pose could look like this. Just most importantly is that you're doing it in an environment that you feel the most comfortable, and just try to mimic and mirror us as best as you can.
Cool, cool. Susie says you're the best thing she's seen on YouTube for a long time, John. So pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Okay, let me see. I'm just going to pop back into Zoom here, see if there's anything. Oh, Karen just dropped a comment. Okay, back to YouTube. Okay. Someone's just talking about their feet. We're really sore when they're lunging. What could be causing that?
Oftentimes, if we don't spend a lot of time in our bare feet, and if you're exercising in shoes that are not necessarily conducive to the foot being able to splay and capture the ground, that can sometimes be an issue. So I'm live here in South Florida, I'm in my bare feet all the time. That's why they're always dirty. But when I step forward, back up a bit. So when you step forward, your foot needs to capture the ground. Sometimes when we're in a running shoe or a training shoe, is the foot is trying to grab the ground, but the design of the foot won't let you grab it. And then the arch kind of like splints and then gets really irritated and fatigued because you've got an arch support that's fatiguing you. So my recommendation is slowly start to wean yourself away from, when you come to 7 movements, start to wean yourself away from a bigger shoe and into more of a barefoot environment, because we're going to start to work on how the foot interacts with the ground. And then over time, what will happen is the connective tissue in the bottom of the foot will start to become a little bit more elastic. And when the bottom of the foot becomes more elastic, then that frees up the bones of the feet to be able to move really well and capture that ground. So the foot itself, the foot and the ankle, there's 33 joints in both the foot and the ankle. So if I put you in a rigid shoe and those bones can't move very well, then those tissues get really, really, well, in this case, they would get shortened, right? And what we need to teach them to do is to be able to lengthen when the foot hits the ground, because the foot itself is a moldable adapter to the ground. And then in order for the foot to be able to mold into the ground as I step and I grab that ground, then what happens is it creates space at the ankle for the ankle to move and start to grab that ground and start to bend the knee. So that there's a cascading effect that happens when the bones in the feet move and the big toe does its job, which oftentimes we can't get the big toe to do its job in a running shoe, is then it'll allow the ankle to be able to splay apart, dig down so that big talus bone rotates down, the lower leg bones spread apart to create some space there. And then it allows the big muscles of the leg to be able to support you and take a lot of that force. So what we would recommend is slowly start building out your inventory of practicing these movements in a barefoot environment. And then even when you get a chance to be at home, spend some time in your bare feet and give your feet an opportunity to capture that ground.
Awesome. Little follow-up. I actually really like this question. I hope we get some more of these from the group. Just asking, what's one thing she could do every day that would help her feet feel better?
I would invest in just a little pressure ball. So you could just find a little marble, or you could find like a little golf ball or something that's about the size of, about a little bit bigger diameter than a silver dollar, but a round sphere. And all we could do is just take it with you to work, put your foot on it, and give yourself a little bit of a massage on here. So all I'm doing is I'm just rolling it through the bottom of my feet. And that is essentially some compression that we're using to drive some fluid to the bottom of the foot. The bottom of the foot is primarily made up of collagen and bones. So collagen will absorb almost 10 times its own body weight in water. So if you're dehydrated and you're wearing shoes and your feet are kind of squished in a shoe, all this connective tissue doesn't get a lot of water to it, especially if we sit for long periods of time. So it's a really simple thing that you can do, is just have a little marble in your desk, and then just pull it out, take your shoe off and rub your feet on it for a little bit, and then go ahead and go for a little bit of a walk. Another thing I like doing is I have a rock garden out in front of my house. And so I just walk on different shaped rocks on different planes. So it's kind of downhill. So I'll walk in a circle around them in one direction, then around the other circle in the other direction. And that gives my foot a different contact point. And I have to walk against those odd surfaces, which just brings health to the foot.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that is it for questions today. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Remember, Pain-Free Movement Mondays at John is always at this time. It's always going to be free. Just register at 7movements.com. If you want to start movement snacking every day, make sure you get our all access pass. You can find that on our website. That's all our on-demand content. And if you really want to start movement snacking in these live clinics, we have 4 going a week now. You can get a 7 Movements membership. So hopefully we'll see everybody here next Monday. And everybody have a fantastic